Again, where is that? That's emotions, that's feelings. And so while there is no place in the workplace for emotions and feelings, that's the very things that undo us. They often say that people don't quit jobs, they quit managers. Well, why? Because the manager basically, as you know, they don't know how to interact with others. And that's emotional and that's feelings. Feelings that are driven by beliefs and thoughts. Our thoughts, our beliefs, driven by our feelings, which in turn create emotions, which in turn messes stuff up. You know, so so there's
very interesting.
I absolutely love this. You know, and it's nothing new. I mean, years ago, I cut my teeth on the emotional intelligence, the true science of it, which was created by Peter Svele and John Mayer. And they looked at, one was a psychologist and one was a sociologist. And they looked at, okay, what is this whole thing about emotions? Again, that's a long list of stuff. And I don't deal with every emotion. I'm only concerned with those emotions that, again, discourage us, that make us throw up our hands and say, forget it, you know, or the attitude of, what difference does it make? It's never going to happen. And a lot of times those feelings, especially when you start talking about in the workplace, now this happens both emotionally and professionally. We will walk into a situation with the expectation that we're going to get negative. And guess what? We get negative. That's called the self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yes.
So because you walked in there expecting this person not to like you, they don't like you. Why? Because you started out acting like they weren't going to like you. And they in turn, you know, say,
things.
Right? They will in turn accommodate your thoughts. And that's the same, that's metaphysics. We draw negative things to us, or we draw positive things to us. If we spend a lot of passionate energy in thinking about the negative, then guess what's coming to us? Negative. If we spend a lot of emotional energy on the positives, then that's what's going to come to us. So we have to be mindful of those. Some people will say, pay attention to every thought. Well, you can't pay attention to your thoughts, because in a day we could have 50, 60,000 thoughts. Have you ever tried to meditate? I can sit there and say, okay, I'm going to meditate for about 5 minutes. And, you know, 2 seconds into it, I am flooded with thoughts. And I'm like, oh, forget it. You know? So there's no way we can monitor every thought, but we can monitor thoughts that cause us anxieties. And that was one of the things that I really began to look at for myself. So I'll tell anybody that I'm not just a person that will tell you, here's what you need to do. I'm still processing it myself. I'm still learning.
However, my next question to you is, what are some of the steps we need to take to prepare for success? You know,
now, see, that would be a trick question, because that would be a canned question as well. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't believe in how-tos, because how-tos have a tendency to put everything in a little box. And if you don't do it specifically like this, then you failed. You've got it wrong. Personally, success, and I write in my book, it's a tapestry. Success is an artwork. It's your artwork. It's a self-expression. So I can't tell you what is going to be successful for you. I can tell you what's going to probably stand in your way, you know, and here's what you can look out for. But only you will decide, how am I going to deal with that? You know, so it goes back to, again, when I say, I tell you the what and why, but you have to decide how you're going to deal with that. So my whole focus is to always say to people, okay, here's what's really going on. Here's what you're really faced with. And once you understand what's happening when it comes down to, I want to be successful. Okay, well, what are going to be some of the things that's going to stand in your way? Well, then that means that, Levita, you're going to have to say to me, well, Pennie, I'll just tell on myself.
Okay.
One of the things that I knew was a
I'd rather
major,
you tell on yourself than me.
I'll tell on myself, because I've been dealing with this, so I'm good.
Okay.
One of my biggest issues was the fear of rejection.
Okay.
That was a large piece for me. And so while I was in business for myself, had a successful business, had a radio talk show, intimate apparel store, and all this, but I was always afraid that I would not meet the approval. And so there was always this fear of rejection. I just could not shake it. It wasn't until I started finding out through my research, my studies, exposing myself to things, and being honest. And if you were to ask me again, Penny, what does a person need to do to start being successful? For first, start being honest, with yourself as to what your struggles are. And so I always say to people, if I were to say to you, here's what you really need to do, your first step is to say, it's possible. It's possible that I could be afraid of my own success. It's possible that I could be my own worst enemy. It's possible that I'm doing things to sabotage myself. I'm just saying, you don't have to admit it right away, but all you have to do is say, it's possible that it's not some external entity, maybe it's me. And that will be our greatest, our internal selves, our thoughts, our beliefs, those things that go to sleep with us at night. Those become our greater challenges in any form of success. I don't care whether we're trying to be successful in our family, in our relationships, in a professional world. It's always going to be those, those feelings, those emotions, those thoughts that we go to sleep with at night.
Right, right. One of the things that I share a lot with individuals is that I believe it's important that we saturate ourselves with positive thoughts and success principles if you're going to be successful, so that you can drive out those negative thoughts. But my next question to you is, you mentioned something about the difference between asking what and asking how. Would you explain that?
Oh, you're talking about the conversation we had earlier.
It's a good one.
It was a good one. We were talking earlier about that, and that was a good revelation for me. I remember always asking how, and that, of course, put me on a journey of thinking that I was never, again, fear of rejection. I was always never going to be good enough, so I would go and take that next class and the next class and next class, because I wasn't ready yet. It was always I wasn't ready yet. And I was always saying, well, how am I going to do this? Well, how am I going to start this business? Well, how am I going to earn the money? How? Then one day it hit me, how is an external question. And it caused me to constantly look outside myself for answers that I was the only one who held. When I realized, wait a minute, I'm asking the wrong question. Then I said, well, what question should I be asking? And then it became down to, no, stop asking how, ask what. What do I need to do to get the monies to fund this particular what do I need to do to get more customers into my store? So the question became what, not how. And so by asking myself what, it internalized. It caused me to go into action instead of being the victim and saying, nobody's telling me how I'm supposed to do this. And so it empowered me. And now it made me responsible to say, okay, what do you need to do, Penny, to get this done? And then I had to look at what gifts do I have in my hand, meaning my talents, my abilities, my resources. And I'm all about doing things practical. A lot of times people tell you these pie in the sky kind of ideals on here's how you become successful. Listen, it needs to be practical, and it needs to be every day. It's sort of like, what can I go into my kitchen cabinet to get out and make this work? And that's the mentality that I have now, is that I don't want to, like for instance, a client of mine, and I won't say a name, he was like, I want to increase my business, and he was thinking he needed to go out and get this big building and blah, all this other stuff. And I said, not at all. All you need to do is go and spend maybe $25 on one of those, or $50 on one of those like magnetic signs, stick it on the side of your truck, and every time people see you, you'll be surprised how many often I'm writing down, man, I need a plumber. So it's simple things like that I always encourage people to do. What can you get out of your kitchen cabinet to get this done?
Well, Pennie, I have to tell you, I had an aha moment when you told me that. I'm never again going to ask how to do this. How, as you said, is disempowering.
It is.
But when you ask what, so I thank you so much for that revelation.
You're welcome. But it was even, and I have these moments where the revelations come to me and they just overwhelm me. I just sit down, I just slide down the wall. I'm like, oh my God, it was that. And it's the simple things. It's the simple things that confine us and confuse us the most. And so I'm always looking for the simple. Yeah.
Now, you teach a workshop, a clarity workshop. Tell me about that and the benefits of attending.
I have two. I have a 2-day clarity workshop, and I use clarity so that people can understand. We have to be clear on what we're really doing. We have to be clear on the naysayers, the message that they're really saying. Be clear on what they're really saying. So that's why I call them clarity shops or workshops. And sometimes we need other people to help us see clearly. So on the 2-day clarity workshop, I go in and I talk about the emotional side of success. I really give the nuts and bolts of that, the whole theory behind that. And there are 5 main emotions that literally discourage us. There are 5 main ones that we deal with in there.
All right.
In the workshop, and we go through each one of those one by one so that you can start making that personal connection with yourself in the 2-day one. And then we take you through a process of what I call a personality resume.
Okay.
Not a job resume, a personality resume.
Okay.
So that you now know what you have to offer. Whether it be going into a relationship. I want to have a good relationship with a strong mate or a partner. Well, what do you got? What are you taking to the table to say, hey, this is what I have to offer? But most of us don't even know that. The tool, the personality resume, will also help you in what's your vision, what's your goal, what's your purpose in life. We all want to know the big question, why am I here? Well, we take you through that particular resume so that you know. And then it allows you to recognize your unique opportunities. A lot of times opportunities, I remember a friend of mine said to me once, Penny, opportunities are like the stars in the sky. They're everywhere and they're abundant. And I was like, yeah, that's profound. Then I started realizing every opportunity was not Penny's opportunity. Because how many times have you ever taken on something and you're like, this is going to be a great opportunity, and then it costs you more time and energy and money, and you're like, that wasn't an opportunity at all.
No, I agree.
But now, it looked like an opportunity at first, but guess what? Now it's cost you more. So this particular tool helps you to differentiate what's my opportunity opposed to an opportunity. And then I have a second one, which is a week-long. It's really intense. And I would say it's more for business people, small business owners, professionals that are going to that next level in corporate America, who already pretty much have their vision down or have that goal and they're solid about it. But one of the things that they don't really have is that what do I do next? And so I kind of give them a step by step.
What?
Yes, what? What do I do next? And we go through, and this is based on scripture really, because in the Word of God it says that write a vision, make it plain, so those who come behind you can run. Okay, so you got to know the whole thing. So we have to have a vision, because sometimes we get mad because somebody won't support us. But again, like I said earlier, because you didn't explain your vision to me, I'm not really clear. So I'm not sure I want to run with you yet. And so this particular workshop, it gets so intense, and it's on one-on-one. I mean, literally, I only take small groups up to 8. And so the first 2 days, again, we go back and we cover the elements of the emotional side of success, getting into that, the 5 elements, those emotions that do discourage our success. And then we get into your vision, into your goal. What is that all about? And then we start writing a visionary performance plan. The what? Not just a plan, performance.
Okay.
What are you going to do?
And
so
Pennie,
we spell it out.
do you have a website?
I do. And it's very simple, PennieMurray.com.
And it's Pennie with an I-E.
Yes, PennieMurray.com.
Well, Pennie, I've loved our time together.
You're so welcome.
We have got to do this again. You've got
Certainly.
to come and be on the show again.
Anytime.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
We thank you for participating, and I hope you enjoyed this segment. Look forward to seeing you next time.